Hey guys, Adam here from the Tint Academy. We're going to show you guys how to tint a frameless window. So with a frameless window, it means it has no frame around the window. So it's a little bit differently than a roll down window that we're going to see on most of our sedans and SUVs and trucks. So the first thing with this is we're going to do our prep. So now with these Subaru roll down windows, as you can see when I close the window actually goes up and down. When I open this window back up, the window drops down. So when I'm installing and when I'm cutting my window film, we want the window to be in the up position. It's going to be up about 1/4 of an inch. On these, sometimes you'll see a latch in the very bottom here, or we have this button right through here. So when I'm doing these windows, we want to open up this latch here. So I'm taking my 10-inch, and I'm going to unhook it. So now with that here, this window is going to stay in the upright position. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prep this window. So we're going to do our outside prep, our inside prep, lay the film, cut the film, shrink it, and then install. So first, for my outside prep, I have a little bit of soapy water. This is just full of distilled water with 8 pumps of baby shampoo. So I'm going to spray it over top of the window and across the entire door panel. Then grab my squeegee and then squeegee out the entire window here. And wipe down the sides and wipe down the entire door panel. So anything that the can possibly touch, we want to wipe it down. Once I've done my outside prep, and move into my inside prep. So for the inside prep on my window, I'm going to do my same steps here. So I'm going to wet my window, but I'm actually going to use a razor blade this time. I'm going to razor blade the window. We want to make sure we have any kind of dust, dirt, debris, particles, snot, boogers, sand, glue, get off the window. So I'm going to razor blade the window. Once I razor blade the window, I'm going to do another squeegee. So I'm going to do a nice little spray down again. And squeegee out the entire window. And once I've sprayed down my entire window, I'm going to take my Easy Reach, or in this case, we're going to use a Conqueror with my microfiber towel. I'm going to hold it right across, and clean out the sides and the bottom. And wipe down anything that we might have gotten water on. Now we're ready to lay my film. So we're going to be using a carbon ceramic tint on these windows here, which is a very nice shade. It blocks the 95% UV rays and has a nice little bit of a tinge to it. So with my film, I'm going to lay it over top of the window. Right? So we have 2 factory edges here. So we have a factory edge on the top and a factory edge on the bottom. We want those to be all the way across the top and away across the bottom. So make sure that we're actually lined up here. So I have good coverage here, I have good coverage here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray my film again, and I'm actually going to anchor, because I don't want this film to kind of shift anywhere that we don't want it to shift. So with my squeegee, I'm just going to anchor that film. So my first cut is going to be right along the bottom. So I'm going to take my knife, I'm going to have 0 clicks out, and I'll pop it right in that corner, 1 click out, and I'm going to make my first cut. My first cut is going to be all the way along the bottom. Now, in this case, I actually want to have a little bit of my film to go below the weather strip so we don't have any kind of peeling. So I'm just going to lift it up and slide it down about 1/4 of an inch. So we have a little bit of overlap on the window. From there, I'm going to spray it down again. And then I'm going to anchor out my window again. Sorry guys, there's a little bit of an interruption there. We're just asking if we wanted Tim Hortons order, which we don't.
You guys want Tim's?
I think we're okay. We're live, by the way. So my first cut was just way along the bottom. So we're going to have a little bit of coming over below that seal. So we have that seal in the bottom here. we want that film to be tucked in so it doesn't peel on us. My next cut here is going to be along the side. So again, I'm going to push all that film right against the side of that seal. I have no knife out of my blade. Pop it in that corner, and then come all the way up. Pop it and rip it away. Now, we don't want any kind of, we want a little bit of overlap here so we don't have any kind of light gaps on that film. I'm going to spray my film again. I'm going to spray underneath it. And I'm going to slide my film across so we have a little bit of overlap. Perfect. Making sure that everything, we still have a little bit of overlap through the bottom here. We're covered along here and we're covered along here. So now I'm going to do my final top cut. Now this is the most important cut on the window. So I'm going to anchor in my entire window so we don't have anything shifting around that window. My top cut has to be absolutely perfect because every time that customer is going to open up their window, they're going to see that entire top cut. So my knife, I'm going to pull it out, pop it in, and I'm going to glide it right across the top of the window. Down and pull. So then here, come up and pull up. My next cut is going to be this piece here. So I'm bring that cut, bring it down in, and then come across. So our window here is cut out. Our next phase that we have to do is we actually have to clean up the window. So I have my window film here. So you want to get rid of these pieces across. So I'm taking my squeegee out here and I'm just going to clean it up. And here, and I'm just going to clean it up. And then my final one, I'm going to clean up this round corner so it doesn't get caught on anything. And clean up this edge across. And this edge. So that is how we cut a frameless window on a Subaru. Now this is going to be the exact same on any kind of frameless window, whether it is a Mustang, a BMW, any of those kind of windows. The only major difference between all those kind of cars is where we actually trick the locks. So on this model, we do it right here. On some models, we're going to do it right here. So now that I cut out my window, we're going to shrink the film. Now all windows are actually going to be curved. So we need to shape and shrink this window to the actual shape of the window. So doing that, I have my heat gun here. We want our heat gun on high. So before I even do that, I'm gonna lay my film on. So you saw that I put a little bit of my slip solution or soapy water on the window. And I'm gonna leave a gap here, about a ½ an inch and about an inch gap at the bottom with some overlap here. We want as much film on the window as possible so that we can get the best shrink out of this window. Now remember we talked about earlier, we have our factory edge along the bottom and our factory edge along the top. We're gonna create that N. So if you can see, I have my letter N here. So the N comes right across and down the middle. That letter N is gonna force all the stuff that's not sitting flat on the window to the bottom of the window. Okay, so I'm gonna push all that soapy water out to make sure it's totally flat. Now we have these little things called fingers. So I'm gonna run my heat gun along the bottom and I'm gonna push out those fingers. You see them popping up all the way through there. Now I'm gonna do it one more time. So I'm gonna spray the outside and I'm gonna spray below it again. I'm gonna recreate that N around my window to make sure this window is completely shrunk. I always like to shrink everything twice. In our courses, we recommend our candidates shrink everything twice as well. Just makes it a little bit easier when you do your install. Your goal with shrinking is to make sure this is completely flat, so when we install the film, nothing's gonna pop up onto the window. So we have one right there. So this is going to be pretty flat. My next step is I'm gonna cool down my film again. And take it off the glass and I'm gonna set my film. Before my window film gets installed onto the window, we wanna actually prep it one more time. You can have the best cuts, you can have the best shrink. If your window is still dirty it's not going to be a good very install. So I always suggest that we do one more clean right before we do our installation. So do one more clean, make sure that everything is totally off the window and my window is ready to be installed. Now I'm going to ready for my installation. So I'm going to do a light mist of my window and then come down. Now we're going to do a full peel on this window. So I'm going to take the entire backing sheet off and install it onto the window. So I'm going to take that sheet off. I'm just going to get a little bit of a corner. As I'm peeling that window backing sheet off, I'm going to spray the film down. And I'll pick it up so you guys can see that I'm not going to touch anything, just below that window. Come up and come over top of the window and make sure that you guys can actually see everything that's going on. Now I'm going to drop that bottom corner into that window first. So I know my camera went off a little bit there, but I can drop that window down. Make sure everything is down. So now I'm going to bring it down. Good. So now my cut is perfect. You can see here, it's totally in line with a very, very small gap, a hairline gap that is actually perfectly lined up with this window. So my camera kind of keeps going off on me here. So you can see that light gap. We don't even have a gap on there. So first thing I'm going to do with that window is I'm going to lock down the sides, make sure everything is totally flat. It's a little bit up there. So now I'm going to spray my window film out again. So we go to any drag, and I'm going to make sure that we get that top edge first. Now I'm just going to do a very light squeegee to make sure that we get everything flat onto the glass. Good. So everything's flat on the glass. So we just did a nice light little squeegee. Now I'm going to take my Easy Reach or my Conquerors, go down the sides and down across. Before I do that, I'm going to do a hard squeegee all the way across. So take my Blue Max, come all the way up and do a hard squeegee all the way through to make sure that we get everything stuck down into the glass. Good. So we have our window film set here. You can see we've got a couple little fingers popping up, but we're going to actually get rid of those guys here. I'm just going to take my hard card and my heat gun and just get rid of that. Good. Now, in this case here, I'm going to let this sit for about when I do the other window. Then come through and I'm going to unlatch the lock here so the window drops down and goes back and forth. So guys, that is how we cut a frameless window on a Subaru. Now again, that can work for any Mustang, any kind that has a frameless window. We have nothing up around this edge through here. Remember, you want to make sure you do your outside prep, your inside prep, lay the film, cut the film. So your first cut is going to be along that edge here. Shift the film down. Your second cut is going to be along this edge. You're going to shift it over, then you do a nice clean cut up along the top. Guys, thank you for viewing this video. If you have any questions, drop it in the comments or visit us at www.tint.academy.